What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Aired Out Podcast. My name is Avery, and that right? Wait, wrong way. That's Juan. Y'all see Juan? Y'all see him right there, right? Juan, say what's up to the folks, man.
What's up, y'all? Repping a little bit of Panthers powder blue today. It's a very underrated uniform, in my opinion. I gotta say.
Is it?
I mean, powder blue is beautiful no matter what. The Chargers rock it really well.
I think the Chargers powder blue trumps everybody. I don't think anybody else, in my opinion, should do the powder blue. That's just me. I don't like the Panthers powder blue. Okay.
I don't like the Panthers black on blue. Like for me, it just feels like such a dull color tone.
To be honest, I could be biased here because I'm a Falcons fan. So like the Panthers, I don't like. And so like that could be playing a part in why I'm sitting here saying, bump their uniforms. But no, I'm looking at it and I'm not a fan. I like the Charger powder blue. It's just that much better.
Well, it doesn't really matter what jersey I'm wearing right now. What really matters is the hat that I'm repping here.
That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. That is inside the hashes right there. And this is the Aired Out Podcast. So we're going to jump right into some football right now. Okay. So obviously, ladies and gentlemen, big news in the sports world today. I get it shouldn't be big news, but the guy's polarizing, so it's big news. And that's annoying. It's actually annoying to be quite frank.
Relax. It's not Antonio Brown, so you don't have to.
Yeah, it's not okay. Yeah, that is a good thing. That's a good thing. It's not Antonio Brown, but Baker Mayfield has been traded, ladies and gentlemen, to none other than the Carolina Panthers, or the North Carolina Panthers, as Sean Puffy Combs likes to call them. And yeah, so he's been traded there. Obviously, Sam Darnold is still there. Sam Darnold is still under contract for $18.5 million, okay? $18.5 million. Baker Mayfield gets shipped there. Carolina is only paying him $4.5 million. And the Browns are going to pay the remaining $10.58 million that he is owed on his contract. So my question to you, why? Is there's so many questions. My first question is, does this trade make sense?
Well, number one, I can't wait to see what the new Progressive commercials are going to look like once he gets down there, if he even has one at that point. That's one. Number two, I think the trade makes sense. It gets a tumultuous quarterback position under control for the Browns, even though they might be starting the season with Jacoby Brissett going forward. But it starts a whole new one in Carolina. See, right now the quarterback room is now a four-headed monster for the Panthers. It's Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Matt Corral, and P.J. Walker. Sam Darnold, as we know, has just not looked great these past couple of years. He's underperformed as the third overall pick. First with the Jets, now with the Panthers last year. Baker Mayfield, he's stepped up more in his role, but at the same time, he's also shown to be a little careless when he plays, especially last year when he was playing injured and just making terrible decision upon terrible decision. And right now, the Panthers are in a desperate need to succeed. All right, Matt Rule is in a desperate need to try to show that he is deserving of this head coaching job. He has not done enough of a job to show that he might be able to keep his job next year to make the owner Tepper consider keeping Rule on staff. I mean, he had one of the key offensive minds in Joe Brady and then blamed him for the offense going down last year and then firing him early on in the season. Now he has Ben McAdoo on his squad, who, fun fact, I didn't realize this before, had ranked Baker Mayfield 6th amongst the quarterbacks that were drafted in the 2018 class. He had Mason Rudolph above Baker Mayfield. That's going to be fun. Not to mention Robbie Anderson, the wide receiver for the Panthers. He had one time tweeted "no" under a fan comment that had sparked the rumors for the Baker Mayfield trade to Carolina. And I've been seeing a lot of things saying like Baker Mayfield can make the Carolina Panthers a playoff contender. Let's slow down the brakes there. All right. I like Baker Mayfield. I really do. but I don't think he is a catalyst to push a team over the edge to be a playoff contender. Plus, this Panther squad is not ready for the playoffs. The defense is good, but not great. The offensive line needs to be tested because it is shoddy, young, and unproven. And the wide receiver core, honestly, you can't tell me. I love DJ Moore and I love Robbie Anderson, but can you really tell me that they're better weapons than what Odell Beckham Jr. was, or Jarvis Landry was, or Peoples Jones was as a third complement? Like, it's going to be a lot of pressure riding in on Baker coming into the situation if he even starts. I'm calling for a quarterback battle between two first round picks going into this camp.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a quarterback battle. It'll be very, very interesting to see. You commented on Robbie Anderson in his tweet. No, under a fan's comment. I mean, I always get annoyed by how people get frustrated and say, "Oh, you shouldn't say certain things about certain guys because they could end up on your team." No, if he's a bum, he's a bum. Like, I don't want to play with him. I'm sorry. I don't. I like, and it's okay for me to have that preference. It's okay for me to say, like, yeah, no, he stinks where he's at. What makes me think he's going to make our team any better, right? Like, I
It's
don't.
a lot like when Michael Brockers had he said that he was glad that Jared Goff was out of Los Angeles because he didn't like playing with Jared Goff, and
And
then
he gets
Brockers
traded.
himself got traded to Detroit and
Right.
had to make up with Goff.
But who cares? Like, I didn't want to play with Jared Goff anymore, and we see why. Matthew Stafford comes in and wins a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like, on that same team that he eventually gets shipped off of. And what does Detroit do? Absolutely squat. So I don't get that. So what is next for Sam Darnold in your opinion if he does not win this starting job?
The same path that almost every other USC quarterback follows going forward in their NFL career. Perpetual backup quarterback. He'll be joining the Matt Barkleys, the Mark Sanchez's of the NFL world.
The Matt
Going
Leinart.
forward. The what? The Matt Leinarts. Yeah, definitely. But I just feel bad for Sam. I mean, I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I don't. I feel bad because he's been getting put in really bad situations. Either it's a desperate head coach trying to save his job, or an inept head coach who doesn't know how to do his job, or one who was just out the door anyways. In that order: Matt Rule, Adam Gase, and Todd Bowles.
I'll ask you this last. Who would you rather have, Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson, back on the Jets with the new regime,
Zach
new
Wilson.
team?
Zach Wilson. Let me show you why. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Zach Wilson, I've talked about beefy Zach a lot on this show. He put on like 20 pounds of muscle over the course of the offseason. He looks bigger. He looks stronger. He's faster, and he looks like he's well read in the playbook than Sam Darnold ever could be when he was in New York. All right. Plus, Sam Darnold looks exactly the same as when he was in college as he does now. It doesn't seem like he's invested his body into the game enough to prepare for the high volume of hits that he's going to receive, especially behind that Panthers offensive line. I just think that Zach Wilson has more of a commitment to football than Sam Darnold does.
Okay. Understood. I understand that all the way through and through. Speaking of commitment, the Washington Commanders have made a commitment. Okay. They have made a very, very strong and financially sound commitment to none other than Scary Terry. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry McLaurin. He got the bag, y'all. He got the bag. He got the bag. One of the top paid receivers in the NFL now, with his extension. And so my question to you is, first, does he deserve this extension? We always have to ask that question when somebody gets this kind of money and gets extended and they have not, quote unquote, won anything. Like, I know it's different because he's a receiver, so he doesn't have the scrutiny or the pressure of a quarterback, but gotta ask the question.
So doing research for McLaurin's story, I came across this one story from a former Ohio State wide receivers coach. When McLaurin was being scouted, this wide receivers coach went up to him and said, "Look, man, you are not good. Your routes are shoddy. You're not able to catch as many passes as you can, and you're just not that fast. Here's what I want you to do. go home and catch as many balls as you can. 200 balls. I want you to catch 200 balls. And then your next game, if you show up, we'll see what we can do with you. And sure enough, McLaurin went home, either with his mom or his friends or even a jugs machine. He caught 200 passes at home. And that hard work and production showed off in the next game. He didn't do as great, but it showed that he could take coaches' instruction and work hard to make a better version of himself. And that's exactly who Terry McLaurin is as a player. He may not be the fastest. He may not run the cleanest routes. He may not have the greatest hands, but he will outwork you and out-technique you as much as he can until he gets it right. And the numbers in his 3 years in the league show as much. The man has almost 3,100 receiving yards in the last 3 years. He's averaged 1,000 yards a year outside of his rookie year where he only had about 980, so he was just a little bit short. He has 16 total touchdowns, so he hasn't hit the end zone as much as you'd like, but almost 14 yards a catch is still a pretty sweet deal to get for a wide receiver who's just oozing with potential and only growing up from here. And let me remind you who his quarterbacks are, or were, as a matter of fact, over the course of his career. Case Keenum, Colt McCoy, Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and now Carson Wentz. Safe to say, Scary Terry has earned that money.
I agree 100%. I think that he's earned that money. I think he's obviously the biggest receiving threat on that team. I don't know if he's the biggest offensive threat because they do still have Antonio Gibson, who I think we still haven't seen the best of him yet. But I think he's obviously, like I said, the biggest receiving threat in this league where it's a passing league now. You got to have some guy that can just get it done, who can kind of do it all. And Terry McLaurin is one of those guys. He just, like you said, his work ethic is one of the biggest things that people praise about him. And so I think he deserves it. I think he is going to have a really good year under Carson Wentz. Actually, I think Carson has gotten out the
jitters,
and not the jitters, but the
of Eagles past.
Yeah, the stench of the Eagles past. Like that year in Indy, I think did him some good there. I think it was an up and down year, but I think people saw, okay, well, you're still talented, you know.
What's the line here? Like, where do you see McLaurin hitting coming this year? Because right now he's making top 6 wide receiver money. Literally, he is making $53 million guaranteed on this new contract. Yeah. He's earning just behind AJ Brown, who got that massive contract during the draft.
Yeah, I can see anywhere from. It really depends on, because their offensive line isn't terrible, so it really just depends on if they have a solid running game. But I think anywhere between 900 and 1,400 yards, I could see that easily happening. Because his ability to catch the ball in open space and do what he does in open space, his yards after catch, are typically up there in the league. So I think that I think he can do some solid things. And like I said, I think he deserves the money. I think if you're the Commanders, I think you had to pay him, right? I mean, there's nobody really out there that you could say, yeah, we need that guy as far as free agents, right? Odell is still in the market. Julio Jones is still in the market, but both those guys are older than Terry. Both those guys have had major injuries. One of those guys is a shell of himself. And so it'll be very interesting to see how he obviously progresses and what he can do under, with Carson Wentz at the helm. But I think, to your point, he's had much less talent than Carson Wentz throwing the ball before. So it'll be interesting.
If we think about it real quick, the NFC East is decently stacked with wide receiver talent. Not decently stacked. It has some of the best wide receiver talent in the league. Yeah. Like right there. At least 3 of the teams too. I can't say anything about the other New York team right now, because if Kenny Golladay is your top receiver, you might have some issues there, buddy.
Yeah.
But just CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, now Terry McLaurin locked up in there. Man, it's going to be a pass-happy division this year. I'm looking forward to the battles.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see. Very interesting to see. I actually want to revert back though. So we were talking about Carson Wentz and quarterbacks, and we were talking about Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, and it got me thinking because there have been rumors that um, Jimmy Garoppolo could be potentially on the move to one of these three teams, and I just want to get your take on it briefly. And so Jimmy Garoppolo could be on the move to either the Falcons, please God no, the Browns, who again just shipped off Baker Mayfield, but have Deshaun Watson, who may I guess in almost everybody's mind won't play this year. And then you've got the Texans, who just got rid of said person, Deshaun Watson. What are your thoughts? What do you think is the best fit for Jimmy Garoppolo, and then for him, like personally, and then what do you think is the best fit for the team? Like, what team could benefit the most from Jimmy Garoppolo?
From what's available right now, I'd have to say Houston's your best fit. Atlanta is trending more towards a mobile quarterback style of offense that relies heavily on the run game. That's why you have guys like Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota on the roster. All right, they're both very versatile with their game, even though they both have slightly weaker arms. And Jimmy, he can move, but not as well as Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder, as far as I can see. So I don't think he's a good system fit in Atlanta. With the Browns, it's a stupid move if they try, because they're already tied $25 million in the hole this year, paying one quarterback who's not even on the roster anymore, and another one who's likely to be indefinitely suspended for the year. So bringing on a contract from Jimmy G, who's already keeping the San Francisco 49ers from paying Deebo Samuel, you can't afford that. Right? It's just not in the books. It just doesn't work there. Houston, I'd say, because I think Jimmy is finally at the point of his career where he has to start mentoring young quarterbacks now. He can still vie for a starting spot, especially because I forgot the name. Davis Mills is the quarterback down there. He's a second-year quarterback. He's shown to be one of the better ones in last year's rookie class. He played pretty well for what was expected of him. So for Jimmy to go down there, I feel like they both run a similar style of play. They are pocket passing quarterbacks. Mills has better legs, but still likes to stay in the pocket, even though it crumbles around him because it is Houston. So that being said, I think Jimmy has a chance to both mentor Mills in the style of game that he plays and also usurp him for a starting job in Houston.
I'm not mad at that. I can obviously see. I can definitely see that. I mean, Houston is like the obvious, one. It's Houston. It's warm. It's Houston. It's a great place to be in the country. But at the same time, to me, honestly, I think the best bet for Jimmy, not for this team, but for Jimmy, is to go to Cleveland. And here's why: the team is ready to win right now. And if you can go in there and just steady the course, and we've seen you do so in San Francisco. You got that team to a Super Bowl. I mean, again, you're talking about a great, phenomenal running game. You've got some weapons there in Amari Cooper and Peoples Jones and different things like that. You've got a pretty solid defense. Again, good, not great, as you referred to the Carolina Panthers defense. Good, not great, but some really solid building pieces on that defense. If you can get that team to the playoffs, back to the playoffs, maybe win a game or two, let's say you get them to the AFC Championship game. Let's just say, right? That's all you have to do. You're going to get paid because it's going to be a one-year deal. After that, somebody's going to pay you. They're going to look at that and say, you know what, Jimmy, you did okay. Because that's just the nature of the business. I know we shouldn't look at it that way, but Joe Flacco got paid because he won a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? And so I think if he goes to the Browns, which are a ready-made team to win right now, and just steadies the course, literally doesn't turn the ball over, make sure that he puts his team in position to win, which, again, we saw gritty, tough-nosed football out of that San Francisco 49ers team. That's kind of the way the Browns are looking to play. They want to be ground and pound and not, I think that would be the best bet for him. Not for the Browns, but for him.
I will say this. The idealistic fit is Cleveland. I'll give you that. The realistic fit is Houston.
Absolutely. Without question. Stay away from Atlanta. Please. We don't want you there, nor do we need you there. I actually have more faith in Marcus Mariota.
I'll put it this way. I'd rather have Joe Flacco than Jimmy Garoppolo as my quarterback. My backup quarterback.
I agree. I agree 100%. Jimmy Garoppolo has a Super Bowl. Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl to his name. And I think he still holds the record for most touchdowns without an interception in the NFL playoffs.
Thank God Darren's not here, or else he'd be gushing about Flacco's Raven career.
Listen, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's like Eagles fans, swooning over Nick Foles. Anyway,
I don't even know if Chris is watching, but
listen, man. Hey, it is what it is. This is what it is.
I will retort for him. At least they won their Super Bowl.
This is true. They did win their Super Bowl. That
against
is true.
Tom Brady.
They did win that Super Bowl. This is true. Speaking of Tom Brady and Super Bowls, the Raiders. You see what I did there? Did you catch it? Did you catch it?
I think so.
Tuck rule. That's
I got you. I
thought you were Super Bowl Raiders. All right. Speaking of the Raiders, they have just made history, ladies and gentlemen. History, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Raiders have a new president, and her name, yes, ladies and gentlemen, her name is Sandra Douglas Morgan. Maybe Sandra, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but she is the first African-American female president of in the history of the NFL. This should be breaking news. I mean, this should be plastered all over everywhere, all over all media sites, especially when it comes to sports. This has never happened, ladies and gentlemen. Never in the history of the NFL. So shout out to her. Juan, give me your thoughts.
The MLB beat the NFL to the punch when they hired their first woman president with the Marlins. So that's one. But number two, the Raiders have never shied away at being historic barrier breakers when it comes to their hiring practices. They got Tom Flores in the 70s, hiring him as the first Hispanic head coach in the NFL. Art Shell back in the 80s, hiring the first black head coach in NFL history. And then hiring Amy Trask, the first female CEO in NFL history. So the Raiders don't shy away from progress. I commend them for that, at least, because they take steps and risks that many organizations don't ever really seem to do.
Let's talk about it. I mean, even the move to Vegas was
looked at by some that was and forgive my pundits, that was a gamble. For what it was.
But again, risks.
I'll say this.
Pushing the envelope.
I'll say this. The Davis family is nothing if not risk takers. All right. They challenged the NFL by bringing the AFL into basic equal standing on a competitive level to the point where they had to merge. Art Davis was always in contention with all the other owners and every GM and every commissioner that passed by in NFL history. He always pushed the Raider away, which is just win, baby, just win. So this is a rebel organization. I commend them for pushing barriers that oftentimes other teams have been afraid to do. Now, with that being said, just because they're breaking the barrier doesn't mean it masks the issues that the organization is facing. Keep in mind, Morgan is the third team president in the last year. All right. And she's coming into a situation where the team is just mired in controversy. All right. The last team president, Dan Ventrell, he was fired back in May, and he claims that he was fired because he tried to alert the NFL that Raiders owner Mark Davis was creating a quote-unquote hostile work environment. All right, it's kind of like hinting a little bit at the Dan Snyder situation happening in Washington. Also, the fact that they're still contending with the John Gruden situation and the John Gruden lawsuit. And a bunch of fire for the Colin Kaepernick tryout because you got Warren Sapp saying one thing and Colin Kaepernick saying another, back and forth and back and forth. The point is, she is walking into a dumpster fire of controversy with the Oakland Raiders. How she manages it will be interesting to watch going forward, but still, congrats on elevating to such a high role in sports, especially in the front office of sports, where there should be more women at the forefront of it. I can proudly say that I know someone who works in the PR department of the Las Vegas Raiders. She's elevated herself to being one of the top event coordinators for the team. When I was at the draft this year, she actually guided me through the stage and showed me around, even introduced me to like a couple of like technician people and gave me a lowdown of what to expect for draft day. She is incredible at what she does, and there should be more women working in these roles, man.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, she's got a lot to contend with. However, if there's one thing I know about Black women, they are going to get stuff in order. When they are brought in to put stuff in order and get stuff in order, oh, you better believe it gets done. And they will fight tooth and nail to ensure that it gets done. Because one thing you're not going to do is make them look bad. It's not like they are serious about making sure that they present themselves accordingly. And I think she's going to do a phenomenal job in the role. I think she's going to bring a lot of stability to an organization that, again, is dealing with, as you stated, just some really some black eye potential situations in that organization. So
I forgot one. Henry Ruggs.
Very interested. Hello, mother. Hello. As well, yes, the Henry Ruggs situation. So, like I said, she's as a black woman, I just see it already. She's going to make a splash, and she's going to literally clean that thing up, because that's what they do. They don't play. You want something to get in order. One surefire way to make sure it happens: call a black woman. She will. I'm telling you, she'll right that ship so quickly.
Set you straight.
So quickly. I love it. So shout out to the Raiders for that. Now, we're going to shift gears, okay? We're going to shift gears back to on the field, okay? Out of the front office, and now we're going back on the field, and I want to talk to you about we're going to do top fives now, okay? We're getting there. Yeah, we're going there, ladies and gentlemen. We're ranking. We're going there. We're going to do top fives, okay? So I want to know, and y'all can drop it in the comments if you're in there. Who are your top five running backs? Juan, I need to know. Rank your top five running backs. You can do a 5-1. You can do a 1-5. You can say in no particular order.
So this is going to be like kind of an ongoing series that we have for the offseason. We'll be going like position group by position group. I wanted to start with running backs first, because I feel like there's already a good set established running backs order right now, whereas positions like quarterback I feel like are more up in the air until we hit preseason and training camp. With that being said, at number 5,
okay,
I got one of the most underrated running backs in the league right now, probably one of the most underrated players on his own damn team, and he led them to the Super Bowl last year, Mr. Joe Mixon of the Cincinnati Bengals. 1,200 rushing yards, over 300 receiving, 16 total touchdowns, but all the attention was on Joey B in his receiving 3. All right, he was slinging that rock like crazy while Joe Mixon was in the trenches not being lazy, just fighting through. We saw the potential that he had to be a top option running back in the AFC Championship game. He was tearing the Kansas City defense apart to run down that clock and get him into overtime for field goal range. That is good. That is great top 5 potential. Number 4, he was a little injured last year, only played 13 games, but still had pretty good numbers and showed that he is still an important cog in this offense, despite also being pass heavy. Mr. Dalvin Cook, over 1,100 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, unfortunately, but do remember the year before he had 18 total. And again, he was dealing with injuries. And now with Kevin McConnell coming over from the Rams and establishing a similar offense that they ran over in Los Angeles, Dalvin Cook's going to get opportunities to eat in this situation, because similar to how Cooper Kupp was used everywhere around the field, even as a run blocker in the interior, Justin Jefferson will be used the same way, and that's going to open so many opportunities for Dalvin Cook to just run it down the middle. Not only that, the weapons on the outside with Justin Jefferson and his name escapes me.
Adam Thielen
out there. It's gonna take defenders out of the box and open even more lanes. And this is also Kirk Cousins' last chance to show that he's decent for this team. But nevertheless, Dalvin Cook's my number 4. My number 3, little controversial, because he earned the nickname King for a reason, but unfortunately he is not hitting it right now. Mr. Derrick Henry. I know. Okay, but look, he played 8 games last year. I know it was a season-ending injury to his ankle, but you got to be impressed with the fact that he still put almost 1,000 yards rushing in just 8 games and had 10 tutties as a result. That's monsters. He could have broken Eric Dickerson's record last year if he had kept the pace. Now, the reason he's at 3 is because, in my opinion, Henry's numbers are a little bit overinflated because he just gets so many carries within that offense. So many other running back situations are by committee. All right. The running game, the offense in total in Tennessee runs through Derrick Henry. It can't function without him, just not as well. That's why I have him at number 3. Number 2, we go back to the land, where there's a 2-headed monster running that running game, but it's led by the one man, Mr. Nick Chubb. Mr. Nick Chubb, who only played 14 games last year, but still put up almost 1,300 yards, who is a formidable threat. Yes, I am putting Nick Chubb over Derrick Henry. I am doing that because I am tired of Nick Chubb not getting the damn respect that he deserves. He is in a backfield sharing carries with Kareem Hunt, and he's still putting up great numbers. That's because he is a yak king, my guy. 16.3 yards per carry. You don't get any other that great production out of any other back. I mean, not just it's insane. That's why he's my number 2. And then number 1, gotta go with the guy that everyone was wishing they had taken in fantasy. I wish I had taken in fantasy, and who just took the league by storm last year. Mr. Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts, 1,800 rushing yards, or about 2,100 total yards, 20 touchdowns. And let me put this in perspective. During the preseason of the 2021 season, the Colts traded Marlon Mack to a division rival, the Houston Texans. And Marlon Mack is no joke as a running back. He's a really good running back too. That just shows how much faith the Colts have in Jonathan Taylor being the lead back in that system. And he proved it last year. And he's going to keep proving it going forward.
Okay. All right. A little bit of a shocker there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not gonna lie. I was absolutely shocked there. Yeah, Derrick Henry at 3 is very, very shocking. Very shocking for me. But not a bad list overall. Some really good names. I'm gonna start with some honorable mentions, okay? So I'm going to start with honorable mention number 1 being Saiquan Barkley. I believe that this guy is a top 5 talented running back in the NFL without question. I actually think he's the most talented running back in the NFL. However, he does play for the New York Giants, who for some reason will not invest in their offensive line. I'm not exactly sure what that is about, But until they invest in their offensive line, he is limited in what he can do. Obviously, now we see him getting injured. Even his rookie year, though, we saw the flashes and just the amount of just talent, just raw talent that this guy has. So honorable mention number 1 goes to Saiquan Barkley. Honorable mention number 2. Honorable mention number 2 will go to Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is just outside of that top 5 just because of, again, where he's playing. I think talent-wise, he's absolutely phenomenal. He's been dealing with some injuries the last couple of years, that'll keep him out a game or 2 or 6 games total or something like that. And so that's been, a kind of an issue. And then obviously honorable mention number 3 for me is Ezekiel Elliott. And here's why. Because the guy just runs forward. He's one of those just, put his head down and go forward type running backs. He doesn't try to do too much. He doesn't do too much dancing. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He can catch the football, and he's a team player. Obviously, we see Dallas switching to a two-back system. We've heard nothing but rave reviews about not only his attitude about it, but how he's helped in his production and pushing his partner in crime, if you will. And so those are my honorable mentions. At number 5, I'm going to give this one to. Yeah, I'm going to give this one to Dalvin Cook, number 5. I think Dalvin Cook is number 5. I think Dalvin Cook is really, really good. He can catch out the backfield. He can run the football. He's strong. He's all of those different things. But I do believe that, having the weapons that he has on the outside lends itself to him potentially getting a little bit more holes than some of these other guys on the list. So I'm going to have Dalvin Cook listed at number 5 for me. At number 4. At number 4, I'm going to. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, do I want to do it? I'm torn here. Yeah, no, I'm gonna do it. At number 4, I'm gonna go Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, I think, does go in my top 5. Okay, all right. I've been saying it for a while that he's been in my top like 6 or 7. But I think what he did last year, again, without an offensive line, and really, still growing and progressing Joe Burrow. So they probably had to lean on the running game a little bit. And different things like that. Another honorable mention is Josh Jacobs on the Raiders, but we still got to see a little more production from him. But anyway, Joe Mixon, I think he's going to be number 4 for me. At number 3, all right, are we ready, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh man, I'm waiting for this.
All righty, it's not Derrick Henry.
I know.
Okay.
I think I know.
At number 3, I'm going to give this one to. Ooh. Man, this is tough. This one is tough. Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll put Nick Chubb at number 3. Nick Chubb is going in at number 3. Nick Chubb is going in at number 3. I think the reason is, 1, he plays in a two-back system, right? And so he's not taking as much punishment as the 2 guys above him. So he's not taking as much punishment. He's not getting as many carries. And I just think that they've built around him, right? And so I think I don't know. I just think that Nick Chubb, I'm going to have to put him at number 3, but it's really hard with these top 3 guys to really say either one of, like, I'm not mad at anybody putting any one of these guys at number 1, right? These top 3 guys, to be honest. It's just different views and opinions, but I'm going to go with Nick Chubb at number 3. Number 2. Now, this is where it got difficult for me. It's really like a 1A and 1B situation, in my opinion. But I'm going to say the number 2. Yeah, I'm going to say number 2 is Jonathan Taylor. I think he's just off the cusp of being number one. Here's why I believe, obviously, he has, in my opinion, the best offensive line in all of football. I think the Colts offensive line is absolutely phenomenal. I think they also have a emerging superstar, Michael Pittman, on the outside. And I think they do a good job of game planning. I think Frank Wright is a really good head coach, and they built the team well. I think their defense is really solid. They get them the ball back. They're able, because they cause a lot of turnovers, they're able to get the ball back into Jonathan Taylor's hands, all those different things. But I don't think he's the sole threat on the offense. I think he is the main threat, but not the sole threat. And that brings me to number one, the sole threat on his team, especially now that A.J. Brown is gone, Julio Jones is not there. King Henry is the king for a reason. I don't want to hear anything about touches. I don't want to hear anything. When you know you're getting the ball and you still rush for 2,000, you know they're going to hand the ball off to this guy. You know they're doing it 30 times, and you still can't stop him. He still goes for 2,000 yards, and not one of his linemen makes the Pro Bowl. That means you are the king, okay? Now, granted, I understand he got hurt last year and all those different things, but like you said,
he's 27.
Like
he's getting up there in running back years.
Man, I don't care. This dude got hurt and still finished top 10 in rushing, ladies and gentlemen. Still finished top 10, and he didn't play half the season. He's an absolute beast. I'm sorry, but it's King Henry by a smidget, ladies and gentlemen. But he is the best running back still in the NFL. He wears the crown, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
Just to recap, I had Joe Mixon at 5, Dalvin Cook at 4, Derrick Henry at 3, Nick Chubb at 2, Jonathan Taylor at 1. You had Dalvin Cook at 5, Joe Mixon at 4, Nick Chubb at 3, Jonathan Taylor 2, and Derrick Henry at number 1. We basically have the exact same guys, just in different places.
Exactly. Like I said, I'm not mad at your list. Just the order is just a little bit off. I really wanted to put Saiquan in there and maybe even Christian McCaffrey like as a tied for 5th spot and maybe bump Dalvin out. But I really couldn't bump Dalvin out in that situation.
Let me throw one at you because like he might be facing a 6-game suspension coming back. Alvin Kamara.
I like Alvin Kamara, but I mean, since Drew Brees retired, he hasn't really produced as much. Now I think that's a product of the offense is kind of just faltered in general. But I don't know. And he was never that guy that, you just turn around and hand the ball off 25, 30 times a game. These other guys, they're getting the football placed in their hands, from the backfield. And, I think Alvin is a special back as far as a dual threat back. He's easily in the top 5. He's easily in the top 5 as far as a dual threat back, without question. But I just think as an overall running back, I think I'm going to have to go with, again, my 5. I think Alvin Kamara is really, really good. I think he's really solid. But I would need to see him produce like with these other guys, like when we know you're getting the football. Can you produce? Because these guys, we know they're getting the football and they're still producing.
I'll throw one more at you. Oh, not more. It's not one more, but I'm going to throw a hot take that about a prediction. I predict Packers running back A.J. Dillon will be a top 5 back next season.
Ooh, wow, that's tough to. I listen. Aaron Jones is nice, man.
Yeah, he is.
I'm going to say Aaron.
If you look at the numbers last year, you'll see that Jones's carries and touches declined a little bit in favor of A.J. Dillon. And I've seen the kid work out. Like, personally, I've seen him work out and play. Freaking monster. Quadzilla, not a joke with this kid, man. And he is just as adept in the passing game as Aaron Jones is. The difference is Jones is much more agile, whereas Dillon is much more ground and pound, hit you in the mouth sort of guy. And while they're good as the 1-2 combo punch, Dillon is going to get more of the touches because he'll have more short yardage goal line situations to contend with.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but I mean, in my opinion, he's got to win the starting role before I can consider him even in the top 10 running backs, right? Like you got to win the starting role first. They did just pay Aaron Jones, so it's a potential that they'll probably not pay him. But if Aaron starts to falter in any way, shape, or form, I'm positive the Packers would not mind letting him go to allow AJ to start. I mean, he's an absolute tank back there. I've been a huge fan of AJ since I wanted us to draft him and have two BC guys in the backfield, but it is what
I saw him tear Syracuse a new one at the former Carrier Dome up in Syracuse.
I would have loved it because I just felt like, okay, we'll get old shades of Matt Ryan and Michael Turner. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Another one that I really want to produce, and I think they just need to get the ball in his hands more, is Miles Sanders. I think he's extremely underused and underutilized.
He's also very much injured quite a bit.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I still just, like I said, I would love to see this guy just get the ball in his hands more because I think he's really, really, really good. And then here's a sleeper who I think can actually sneak into the top 5 just because of the load alone and how much they're going to run the football. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to make a case to be at least in the top 10 because the Baltimore Ravens are going to run the football without question. That's going to happen. And so I would love to see what he's going to do. I hope he remains healthy. It'll be interesting to see. And,
I don't think Dobbins was to pass more than like 800 next year because you also have Gus Edwards in that backfield. And
this is true. But I think, again, Dobbins is obviously the faster back, the more agile back, and he's not small himself. I think, again, I think he wins the starting role. So I think it'll be J.K. Dobbins. I think he'll eclipse 1,000 this year. And there's one that I want to be, and I believe he is a top 5 talent. I think it's going to be like another season or two, but before people recognize that he's actually a top 5 running back, to me, he has a Derrick Henry type trajectory, right? Where it took 4 years for people to really recognize, he's really like that. That wasn't just college. I think another guy and it could be just because of the school that they came from, but I think that Najee Harris is in the next 2 to 3 years, people are going to be like this. There's nothing you really can do.
The kid's already a top 10 back.
I mean,
he put up numbers behind what was arguably one of the worst offensive lines in the league last year. So I kind of agree with you there, but I don't think he'll be a Derrick Henry. I think he'll be more of a Matt Forte.
No, not running style, trajectory. As far as like
that's kind of what I'm saying. Like he's gonna be a Matt Forte in the sense that he's gonna be that extreme double-edged sort of a running back. He's just as amazing in the passing game as he is in the running game, and we remember Forte during those Bears years, man.
Absolutely. I can see it. I honestly see a little bit of Fred Taylor in him as well. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here at the Air It Out podcast. Please don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms. Again, that's Instagram at Inside the Hashes. That's Facebook at Inside the Hashes and on Twitter at Inside Hashes. And please, please, please check out the website, www.insidethehashes.com. That's where you can get all your football content, podcasts, interviews, all different types of things. Our CEO just interviewed Mohamed Sanu. Go check that out. www. Are you? And he's from Jersey. Shout out to Jersey. Jersey be in the building. And then go to YouTube, hit the like button, hit the notification button, hit the subscribe button. You'll get to know when we are live. You'll get your comments put in the show just like this. Appreciate you, Pop. Thank you so much.
All the buttons.
So please, please, please go there and hit all. Yeah, what Juan just said. Hit all the buttons, okay? Please, please. Like I'm not even ashamed to say please. You know what I'm saying? I want you to go and hit all the buttons, all right? But until next time, my name is Avery. That man there, I keep getting it wrong. That man there, that's Juan. This is the Air It Out podcast brought to you by Inside the Hashes. We are over and out. All right. Now, Jonathan Taylor is going to have a phenomenal year, but only if Matt Ryan doesn't.
Oh, my God. Not
so the play action game can be.
You're not ashamed to say please.
You're
not ashamed to say please. You should be ashamed.